So after you understand the overall idea about the 3D animation production pipeline, then we are going to talk about the first stage of the production pipeline, which is the stage of pre-production. And the first one of it is the story. So let's talk about the pre-production in detail. So in the pre-production that I've talked about last time, there are 4 main stages, right? And the first stage is the story. Actually, the story is quite important because the 3D animation we created and then the audience will come to watch it. It really depends on the story behind it. That's why it is very important. And actually, the story will be created by someone and then the group of the animation will try to edit it or make it much more interesting. But in computer animation, the person that will understand the story the most is the director. And most of the time, the director is the person who really create the story or the script by him or herself. But actually, there are 2 ways to have the story. The first one is when you have your own original idea, write them out and create the animation from that. But the second way is when you know the story which is very interesting. For example, The Little Mermaid is used to be a kind of tales that we have for the long time. And then Disney used it, edit it, and create it as a kind of animation. So there are 2 ways, your own story or use the script from someone else. Then after that, if you would like to create your own story, you have to write the script by yourself. But it's not just to write, but because if you would like to have an interesting animation, you need to have the story that is very interesting. So when you write it out, you have to really think about the plot. So the nice plot have to follow the plot diagram like this. In the plot diagram, we start when you have the beginning of the story that you are describing about the environment in general. Then you start adding more problems, which is the confliction that the audience would like to follow. After that, it will be higher as a kind of climax. So you add more and more conflicts, and then you have the peak, which is the climax of your story. But before you end your animation, you have to have the resolution, which is the way that you try to make your story softer and softer until its end. And this is the way that you have a nice story if you write it by yourself. So, you may have a question, what will happen if you will use the script or the story from someone else? So, you need to ask for permission. It just means that you can use any people's story, but the important thing is you have to ask for the permission from the owner of that story. To ask for the permission, it might come with condition. Someone may give you for free to use to create an animation, but for someone you may need to pay some money or may have a kind of condition that you have to follow. And that's why you need to know some kinds of copyright law that we will talk about it in the next video. So next video, we are going to talk about the related copyright law that will give you some idea of what are your rights and how to protect your own right, or how to use other animation, how to use other media to help in your career.